Hello there, and welcome back to the Sleepy Science Place. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe the day behind you was longer than you expected. Maybe your shoulders are still holding the shape of everything you carried, and your mind is still humming softly with the small leftover sounds of the hours that came before. Or maybe you're simply the kind of person who likes drifting off to gentle ideas and quiet wonders, rather than counting sheep or staring at the ceiling. Whichever brought you here, you are exactly where you need to be. There's nothing left to do tonight. Nothing to fix. Nothing to solve. Nothing to remember and nothing to figure out. The only thing waiting for you here is rest and a slow, dreamy journey into the soft science of meditation. Tonight, we are going to wander together through the most relaxing meditation facts to fall asleep to. We will move slowly, the way warm tea moves through a quiet kitchen on a winter evening. We will let one idea melt gently into the next, like clouds rearranging themselves above a sleeping sea. You don't have to follow every word. You don't have to remember anything. You don't have to listen with effort. In fact, the less you try, the better this works. Your mind can wander, your eyes can close, your breathing can slow on its own without permission. Everything we explore is meant to soften the edges of your thoughts, like fog softening the outline of distant trees. Meditation, as you might already sense, is one of the oldest gifts human beings have given themselves. It is older than libraries, older than written language, older than most of the cities still standing today. It is the simple, quiet act of turning your attention inward and letting the noise of the world dim like a lamp being lowered. And the strangest, loveliest part is that science has been quietly catching up with what meditators have whispered for thousands of years. Researchers, with their gentle instruments and careful patience, have been watching what happens inside the body and the brain when a person closes their eyes, breathes a little slower, and simply rests in awareness. What they have found is tender, surprising, and very, very soothing. So tonight, you don't have to meditate. You don't have to sit cross-legged or empty your mind or hold any special posture. You can lie exactly as you are, pillow under your head, blanket pulled to wherever feels right. One arm folded the way it likes to fold, maybe a window cracked open somewhere, letting in the soft hush of distant air. You are allowed to be completely comfortable. You are allowed to drift. You are allowed to fall asleep at any moment, even if I am still speaking. Especially if I am still speaking. That is, in fact, the entire point. If you find this little corner of the night helpful, and if my voice tends to find you on long evenings when sleep is shy, you might gently consider subscribing to the Sleepy Science Place. There is no rush to do it now. You can save it for the morning when your eyes are open again and the world is quietly lit. A small tap of the like button, a soft little subscribe, helps these long bedtime journeys reach more tired travelers like you. But none of that matters tonight. Tonight, the only request I have is that you let yourself settle in, that you give yourself permission to do absolutely nothing, that you let your body grow heavier with each slow breath, the way a stone grows heavier the deeper it sinks into still water. Take a moment now to feel the shape of where you are resting. Notice the warmth gathered around you. Notice the small, comforting weight of the covers or the soft surface beneath your back. Notice the air moving in through your nose, traveling somewhere deep and then drifting back out again, unhurried like a tide that has all the time in the world. Your body knows how to breathe. Your body knows how to rest. You don't have to teach it anything. You only have to allow it. Meditation in all its many forms is really just this: the act of allowing, the act of being here without rearranging anything. The act of letting yourself be a quiet observer of your own life instead of always being its director. Tonight, as we explore the science of this gentle practice, you can think of yourself as already meditating in your own slow, drowsy way. You are listening. You are softening. You are surrendering just a little to the quiet that is gathering around you. We will pass through facts about the brain, about the breath, about the heart, about ancient traditions and modern laboratories. We will visit monasteries half hidden in mountains, and small white-walled rooms where scientists have gently attached sensors to the heads of monks. We will wander into the soft, mysterious territory where awareness meets biology, where stillness rearranges chemistry, where doing nothing turns out to be doing something profound. None of it will be heavy. None of it will be loud. Each idea is meant to be a stepping stone in a long, hushed garden path leading you toward sleep. So let yourself begin to relax even more deeply now. Let your jaw soften. Let your tongue rest behind your teeth. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your eyes feel heavy even if they are already closed. Let any thought that drifts in simply drift back out again like a leaf carried on slow water. There is nothing here that you need to hold on to. There is nothing to grip. The night will hold you. The bed will hold you. My voice will hold you. You can simply listen and rest and slowly forget that you were ever awake. Welcome again to the sleepy science place. Welcome to the soft, dreamy science of meditation. The journey is long, the pace is slow, and there is nowhere else you need to be. Let yourself begin to drift. The first thing worth knowing, as you settle deeper into the quiet of your evening, is that meditation is far older than most people imagine. Long before there were classrooms or apps or guided recordings, long before there were even alphabets in many parts of the world, human beings were already sitting in caves and forests and hilltops, closing their eyes and turning inward. Some of the earliest hints of meditation come from carvings made thousands of years ago, where figures sit cross-legged in postures that look almost identical to those used in meditation practices today. It is a soft, surprising thought, isn't it? That if you were to close your eyes right now and breathe slowly into the quiet of this room, you would be doing something that humans have been doing for at least 5,000 years. You are not alone in this stillness. You are part of an enormous, gentle lineage of people who simply wanted to rest inside their own awareness for a little while. As we drift on from that, you might find it sweet to know that the word meditation itself comes from a Latin root that means to think deeply, to ponder, to contemplate. But the practice we now associate with meditation is older than Latin, older than Rome, older than nearly every word we use to describe it. Different cultures gave it different names, in different languages, with different shapes and shades of meaning. In some places it was called dhyana, a soft Sanskrit word that suggests a kind of focused absorption, like sunlight gathering on still water. In other places it was called something closer to remembrance or returning or simply sitting. The word may change, but the experience underneath is remarkably similar. A person breathing, a mind softening, a world quieting around them. And tonight, in your own way, in your own bed, you are doing the same. Now consider this gentle thought. When you meditate, even a little, even by accident, even by simply listening to a calm voice before sleep, your brain begins to change in ways that scientists can actually measure. The brain is not a fixed thing. It is more like a slow river, always shaping its own banks. Researchers have watched, with careful instruments, as people who meditate regularly seem to grow thicker, more well-connected regions in parts of the brain associated with attention, compassion, and self-awareness. It is as though the inner landscape, given a little quiet attention, begins to bloom. You don't have to do anything dramatic to encourage this. You simply have to keep returning gently to stillness, like watering a small plant in the corner of a kitchen window, asking nothing of it, just giving it light. Drifting onward, there is a soft and lovely fact about the breath. When you slow your breathing even slightly, your body interprets it as a signal that you are safe. Somewhere deep inside, an ancient system relaxes its grip. Your heart rate gentles. Your blood pressure eases. Your muscles begin to release the tiny tensions they have been carrying without you noticing. This part of you, sometimes called the parasympathetic nervous system, is often described as the rest and digest system. It is the part of you that wants to lie in the sun. The part of you that wants to listen to rain. The part of you that wants exactly what you are giving it now. And the most remarkable thing is that you don't have to force it. Just by listening, just by lying still, just by letting the breath move on its own, you are inviting that quiet system to come forward and take care of you. Now here is something soothing to hold loosely in your sleepy mind. Many studies suggest that even short periods of meditation, sometimes as brief as 10 or 15 minutes a day, may begin to soften the body's stress response over time. The hormones that race around inside us when we feel rushed, worried, or overwhelmed seem to settle gradually like dust settling in an empty room. You don't need to meditate for hours. You don't need to be a monk on a mountain. The body, it seems, is rather generous. It accepts small offerings of stillness and turns them into something larger. A few quiet breaths here, a gentle pause there, a bedtime moment like this one. All of these can be enough to let the body remember its older, calmer rhythm. And as we ease toward the next idea, here is one more soft thought to carry with you. Meditation, despite all the rich images it conjures of incense and mountaintops, does not actually require any particular setting. It can happen anywhere. In a kitchen while waiting for water to boil, on a bus while watching the world pass, in a hospital waiting room, in a bed at the end of a long day. The science suggests that what matters most is not the place but the willingness to be present, even briefly, even imperfectly. So you lying here, listening to a calm voice in the dim hush of your room, are participating in something both ancient and ordinary, something both extraordinary and entirely natural. There is nothing more you need to do. Just keep listening, just keep softening, just let yourself drift. As we continue our slow wander through the gentle science of meditation, let your body grow a little heavier on whatever you are resting upon. Notice how easy it can be to do nothing. There's no rush. We have all night. Now consider this. When researchers look at what happens in the brain during meditation, one of the things they often see is a softening of activity in something called the default mode network. This network is a kind of inner narrator, the part of the brain that hums along quietly in the background, telling you stories about yourself, replaying conversations, planning tomorrows, and rewriting yesterdays. It is the part of the mind that is rarely silent. And yet, in meditation, even gently, this constant inner voice begins to grow quieter. It does not disappear. It just becomes less insistent, like a radio playing in another room with the volume slowly being turned down. That softening alone, scientists believe, may be one of the deepest sources of meditation's calming effect. Drifting onward into the next idea, it is sweet to know that meditation has been studied in nearly every major culture that has had the chance to study it. From ancient texts written on palm leaves to modern clinical trials with bright instruments, the conclusions are surprisingly similar. The mind, given even a little attention, can quiet itself. The body, given even a little stillness, can heal itself in small, slow ways. Researchers have observed reductions in markers of inflammation, gentle improvements in immune function, and softer patterns of brain activity in long-term meditators. None of this happens overnight. None of this happens dramatically. But over time the effects gather, the way snow gathers on a windowsill in the dark. You can let your mind rest as we move into another quiet thought. There is a gentle myth that meditation is about emptying your mind, about stopping all thought, about achieving some perfect blank stillness. But science and most experienced teachers suggest something far kinder. Meditation is not about emptying. It is about noticing. The mind will keep producing thoughts the way a fountain keeps producing water. That is its nature. The practice is not to stop the fountain. The practice is to sit beside it without falling in, to watch the thoughts pass like clouds without grabbing onto them, to return again and again to whatever soft anchor you have chosen, perhaps your breath, perhaps a sound, perhaps the simple feeling of being here. So if your mind is wandering right now, That is perfectly okay. That is, in many ways, exactly what is supposed to happen. Now let yourself sink a little deeper as we float into the next gentle fact. The breath, that quiet companion you carry everywhere, is one of the few systems in the body that you can both observe and influence. Most of your inner workings are completely automatic. You cannot decide when your liver will filter, or when your stomach will digest, or when your kidneys will quietly do their endless work. But the breath is different. It moves on its own when you are not looking, and yet it will gladly slow down or deepen when you turn your attention toward it. This is why almost every meditation tradition, from the oldest to the newest, returns to the breath. It is the soft door between the world that runs itself and the world you can gently shape. And tonight, you don't have to shape anything. Just notice that the door is there. As we continue, let yourself settle into this soothing thought. Studies have observed that meditation may help shape the way the brain handles attention. People who meditate regularly often show small but meaningful differences in how their minds focus, how they notice distractions, and how they return to a chosen point of attention. It is a little like a slow, soft strengthening, similar to the way a path through tall grass becomes clearer the more time someone walks it. You don't have to be a meditator to benefit from this kind of gentle attention. Even listening to a long, slow story, like the one we are wandering through right now, can give your attention a chance to rest, gather itself, and return to a slower rhythm. And finally, before we drift on to the next set of soft ideas, here is a thought to lay beside your pillow. Meditation has been shown in many studies to be associated with a sense of greater well-being, even when life itself has not changed much. The bills are still there. The unread messages are still there. The world keeps spinning at its usual speed. But somehow, with even a small daily practice, people often report feeling a little more spacious inside, as though the same life were now happening in a slightly larger room. Tonight, you can imagine that room around you. Soft walls of warm shadow, a ceiling of distant stars, plenty of space for everything you carry, and plenty of space, too, for you to lay it all down. There's nothing to do now except be here. Let yourself drift a little further into the calm. Let your breath settle once more, slow and easy, as we continue our gentle journey. There is something almost magical about how meditation is connected to the heart, not just the metaphorical heart of poems and old songs, but the real, physical heart, beating quietly in your chest right now. Researchers studying meditators have noticed something called heart rate variability, which is a soft, technical name for a beautiful idea. It refers to the tiny, healthy variations in the time between each heartbeat. A heart that is too rigid, too metronome-like, can be a sign of stress. A heart with gentle, flexible rhythms tends to be a sign of resilience. Meditation, especially when paired with slow breathing, often seems to nudge the heart into these softer, more variable patterns. It is as if the heart, given permission to relax, remembers how to dance instead of march. Drifting forward, you might find comfort in the fact that meditation has been embraced by so many different traditions across the world. In ancient India, meditators sought stillness as a doorway to something greater than themselves. In ancient China, contemplatives spoke of an inner quiet that allowed one to move in harmony with the natural rhythms of the world. In monasteries scattered across the cold mountains, monks chanted softly in the dark, while in distant deserts, hermits sat alone with the wind. In Japan, gardens of raked sand became meditative spaces. In small chapels and quiet rooms, people of countless faiths bowed their heads, closed their eyes, and listened. Meditation, it turns out, is not the property of any one place or culture. It is something the human mind seems to invent again and again, wherever it grows tired of noise. As you sink a little deeper, here is a gentle scientific thought to wrap around you like a soft blanket. When you meditate, certain regions of the brain associated with self-criticism and worry can begin to quiet, while regions associated with kindness, perspective, and emotional balance often become more engaged. Some researchers describe this as a soft tilting of the inner landscape, where the mind learns slowly to be a kinder companion to itself. You are not training the mind to be perfect. You are training it to be patient, to be gentler with itself when it stumbles, to return to stillness without scolding. Tonight, even as you drift, you can practice this kindness. If your mind wanders, you can simply welcome it back without judgment, the way you might welcome a small animal that had stepped briefly into the snow. Floating onward, there is a lovely fact about the eyes. In many meditation traditions, practitioners are encouraged to half close their eyes or to lower their gaze gently. This is not just symbolic. The eyes are deeply linked to the nervous system, and softening the gaze tends to soften the entire body. When the eyes relax, the muscles around them relax, and that relaxation spreads slowly through the face, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders. Tonight your eyes can be fully closed or softly resting in the dark behind your eyelids. Either way, you are giving them a gift they rarely receive during the day. Let them feel as though they are sinking back into the warm hollow of your skull, with no images left to chase, no screens left to read, no horizons left to scan. As we drift on, consider this. There is a kind of meditation that focuses on a single object, sometimes called concentration meditation, and there is another kind that focuses on simply noticing whatever arises, sometimes called open awareness or mindfulness. Both have been studied. Both seem to produce calming effects, though they shape the mind in slightly different ways. Concentration is like a candle in a still room, steady and bright. Open awareness is like the night sky, vast and accepting. Tonight, you don't have to choose between them. You don't have to do either formally. You are simply listening, which is its own quiet form of awareness. The candle and the sky are both with you in this gentle hour. And finally, before we slide softly into a small interlude, here is one last thought to carry into the lull. Meditation does not require belief. It does not require religion. It does not require any particular philosophy or tradition. The science suggests that the body and brain respond to stillness regardless of what you believe about it. A skeptic and a mystic, sitting in the same quiet room with the same slow breath, will both experience similar shifts in heart rate, in breath rhythm, in nervous system tone. Meditation is, in this way, beautifully democratic. It belongs to everyone who chooses, even briefly, to turn inward. Tonight you have already chosen, just by being here, just by listening, just by allowing your body to rest. There is nothing more required of you. Let yourself drift a little further into the soft, dark hush of evening. Let's pause here just for a moment and let everything grow even slower. There is no need to remember anything we have spoken of so far. The facts are not for memorizing. They are like small lanterns lit along a quiet path, only there to soften the dark. You can let them flicker behind you as you continue forward. Now take a soft, easy breath in through your nose if that feels comfortable, and let it slip back out slowly like steam rising from a warm cup. You don't have to control your breath. You don't have to deepen it. Just notice that it is happening all on its own. Notice how kind your body is, how it keeps tending to itself even when you forget to thank it. Feel the weight of your head against the pillow. Feel the surface beneath you holding you up completely. You don't have to hold yourself up tonight. The bed is doing that. The earth beneath the building is doing that. Gravity, that quiet, ancient force, is doing that for you. You can let go a little more. Let your fingers go soft. Let your toes go soft. Let your forehead unfurrow, even if it didn't realize it was furrowed. You are doing beautifully. There is nothing to fix. There is nothing to figure out. The journey through these gentle facts will continue when you are ready. And if you happen to drift off before we reach the end, that is the very best ending of all. Let yourself sink back into the softness of the night as we continue. The next gentle thought to consider is this. meditation appears to influence the way the brain processes pain. This does not mean meditation removes pain, of course. But research suggests that experienced meditators often perceive pain differently, with less of the emotional charge that usually accompanies it. It is as though the mind, having practiced sitting with thoughts and sensations without grabbing them, also learns to sit with discomfort without amplifying it. Pain, in their experience, becomes more like weather and less like a personal storm. This soft change has been studied in carefully controlled settings, with everything from warm sensors on the skin to gentle, harmless cold. The findings hint at something tender. The mind has more say than we sometimes assume in how the body's signals feel. Drifting on, you might find it soothing to know that meditation has slowly woven itself into modern medicine in many parts of the world. Hospitals, clinics, and pain management centers have begun to offer mindfulness programs, often inspired by an approach developed in the late 20th century, where meditation techniques are blended with gentle awareness practices to help people cope with chronic illness, anxiety, or stress. Patients sit in soft circles in quiet rooms, breathing slowly together, listening to a calm voice guide their attention. Many leave feeling a little lighter than when they arrived. None of this is magical in the strict sense, but there is something quietly beautiful about a hospital wing where the only requested activity is to breathe. As we float toward the next idea, consider this. Studies have suggested that meditation may be associated with small but real changes in genetic activity. Not changes in the genes themselves, of course, but changes in which genes are switched on or off in certain conditions, particularly those linked to inflammation and stress. The body, it seems, listens to the mind in ways far more intricate than we once imagined. A few minutes of stillness, repeated over time, may whisper to the cells themselves, asking them gently to behave a little more peacefully. You don't need to understand any of this for it to work. You only need to be still sometimes in the way you are being still now. Sliding into another soft thought, there is a delicate connection between meditation and sleep. Many people who begin meditating report that their sleep over time becomes a little easier, a little deeper, a little more forgiving. Some studies have observed shifts in the brain waves of meditators that resemble the early stages of sleep, even when they are awake. This is part of why meditation can feel so wonderfully drowsy. The mind, when allowed to settle, naturally drifts toward states that are very close to sleep itself. Tonight, you might already be feeling this. The boundary between listening and dreaming may be growing pleasantly thin. There is no need to keep them separate. Let them blend. Now consider this. There is a kind of meditation called loving kindness, sometimes known by its older name, metta. In this practice, the meditator silently offers warm wishes, first to themselves, then to loved ones, then to acquaintances, then to strangers, and finally to all beings everywhere. It might sound too soft to matter, but research has found that this practice is associated with increased feelings of social connection, improved mood, and even subtle physical changes related to relaxation and warmth. The body, it seems, responds to kindness even when that kindness is purely silent and inward. As you lie here, you can let yourself receive a little of that kindness. May you be safe. May you be at ease. May you rest deeply tonight. And finally, before we drift on, here is one more soft fact. Meditation has been shown, in many small studies, to be associated with subtle changes in attention and memory. People who meditate regularly often report being more able to notice the present moment, more able to let small distractions pass without losing their place. Their memory, particularly working memory, sometimes shows gentle improvements. Whether this is because of the meditation itself, or because the people who choose to meditate are also tending to other parts of their well-being, is hard to say with certainty. But the picture, painted in many studies, is a quietly hopeful one. The mind, it turns out, is more responsive to care than we often give it credit for. And tonight, you are caring for it simply by being here. Drift a little deeper now, because the next fact is one of the loveliest. There is a special category of brain waves, called alpha waves, that often increase during light meditation. Alpha waves are associated with a state of relaxed wakefulness, when you are awake but unhurried, alert but soft. They are the brain waves of a person watching clouds, or listening to rain, or letting their gaze rest on a flickering fire. As meditation deepens, theta waves can also begin to appear. Theta is the rhythm of dreamy, half-asleep awareness, the kind you feel just before drifting off, when images and thoughts begin to blur into something gentler. Tonight, as you listen, your brain may be flickering between alpha and theta, in the quiet space between waking and sleeping. That space is a healing one. It does not need to be hurried. Now, listen to this softly. Meditation has long been associated with traditions that speak of stillness as a kind of homecoming. Many ancient teachers described the everyday mind as a busy market, full of stalls and merchants and noise, while the meditative mind was described as a quiet temple just beyond the gate. They were not saying the market is bad. They were saying that there is somewhere else inside you, a quieter place that you sometimes forget to visit. Modern science seems to gently echo this intuition. Even a few minutes of inward attention can help the mind move from a state of busy reactivity to a state of softer awareness. You don't have to abandon the market. You only have to remember that the temple is always there. Floating onward, you might find peace in this. Researchers have found that meditators often show subtle differences in the structure of the prefrontal cortex, an area of the brain associated with thoughtful decision-making and emotional regulation. These differences, in some studies, look almost like a slow strengthening over years of practice. It is not that meditators become superhuman. They simply, on average, seem to have a slightly easier time pausing before reacting, a slightly easier time noticing their feelings before being swept away by them. This is a wonderful thing to imagine, a mind that can pause even for a breath, a mind that can notice itself with kindness, a mind that can choose more often the soft path through its own weather. As we drift on, here is a gentle thought about silence. In a world that is rarely quiet, meditation often gives the body its first taste of true silence in a very long time. Even silence, it turns out, has effects worth noting. Some studies have suggested that periods of silence can be associated with the formation of new cells in certain regions of the brain, in animal models at least. The findings in humans are still being explored, but the suggestion is tender. Silence is not empty. Silence is not nothing. Silence may be a kind of inner gardener, quietly tending to places of the mind that need rest. Tonight, even if your room is not perfectly silent, the inner silence you are creating by listening softly may be doing its own quiet work. Drifting further, consider this. Meditation has been shown to be associated with shifts in how people experience time. Many meditators report that, after sitting quietly for a while, time seems to feel a little fuller, a little less rushed, a little more like a wide river than a hurried stream. Some researchers have explored this and found small changes in time perception during and after meditative states. This may be because the mind, when not racing through plans and memories, is simply more available to the present moment. And the present, it turns out, has a different shape than the future or the past. It is rounder, slower, more willing to be felt. Tonight, the present is shaped exactly like the bed you are in, the breath you are taking, the soft hush around you. And before we float into the next set of facts, hold this thought lightly. Meditation is sometimes described as the art of doing less. In a culture that often praises doing more, this can feel almost rebellious. To sit, to listen, to stop, to breathe, to let go. These small choices may feel like nothing, but the science suggests they are not nothing at all. They are subtle adjustments made again and again that slowly shape the inner weather. There is no pressure to begin a daily practice tonight. There is no pressure to do anything at all. You are simply here, in the gentle company of these ideas, letting them settle around you like soft snow. And that is more than enough. Now let's continue our slow journey, with even more softness in the rhythm. The next gentle fact is about a part of the brain called the amygdala. This small, almond-shaped cluster of cells deep inside your head plays a role in how you respond to fear, threat, and stress. In studies of meditators, the amygdala has sometimes been observed to become a little less reactive over time, especially in response to upsetting images or sounds. It is as though the inner alarm system, often so eager to ring, begins to take a deeper breath before sounding. The world has not become less complicated. The amygdala has simply become a more thoughtful guardian. Tonight, your amygdala is resting too. There is nothing here to alarm it. Only soft words. Only quiet breathing. Only the gentle weight of your blanket. Drifting onward, it is comforting to know that meditation has been quietly studied in children, in older adults, in athletes, in soldiers, in artists, in office workers, and in patients facing serious illness. In each group, researchers have found gentle hints of benefit, though the size and shape of those benefits vary. Children sometimes show improved attention and emotional regulation. Older adults sometimes show small protective effects on memory and mood. Athletes sometimes report better focus and recovery. The picture is not a single bright line but a soft tapestry, woven with many small, similar threads. Whatever stage of life you are in, whatever your day looked like, the science suggests that the mind welcomes a little stillness in nearly every form it takes. Sliding into the next idea, there is something tender about how meditation can change relationships. Several studies have observed that people who practice mindfulness and loving-kindness meditation often report feeling closer to others, more patient with loved ones, more willing to listen, less quick to react. The mind, having practiced returning to itself with kindness, seems to extend that kindness outward. You don't have to do anything special for this to happen. It seems to arise naturally, the way warmth arises from a banked fire. Tonight, you can imagine that warmth gently surrounding the people you care about, even if they are far away, even if they are sleeping in another house, another city, another country. The warmth of a still mind reaches farther than we often realize. Floating onward, there is a quiet and beautiful thought about the breath. When you breathe slowly, especially when you lengthen the exhale a little compared to the inhale, your body tends to move further into a state of calm. The vagus nerve, a long, wandering nerve that connects the brain to many internal organs, becomes more engaged. This nerve is like a soft inner conductor, helping the body's instruments play in a slower, gentler tempo. You do not have to count your breaths or measure them. Even just noticing how the exhale feels a little longer, a little more relaxed, a little more like a small surrender, is enough to invite this gentle response. Many meditation traditions instinctively use this rhythm without ever needing to explain it. As we drift on, here is a soft idea to keep in your sleepy heart. Meditation has been associated with what some researchers call increased interoceptive awareness, which is simply a clinical way of saying a deeper sense of what is happening inside your own body. Most of the time, we live in our heads, with our bodies as quiet servants below the chin. Meditation, in many of its forms, invites us back into the body, to feel the breath, to feel the heartbeat, to feel the small tingles, warmths, and pulses that are always there but rarely noticed. This kind of awareness has been linked to better emotional regulation, since emotions often live in the body before the mind catches up to them. Tonight, you don't have to do anything but allow your body to be here. It will tell you, in its quiet way, what it needs. And before we drift on, consider this last gentle fact for now. Meditation has been observed in studies to be associated with something researchers sometimes call low or perceived stress. Notice the word perceived. The events of life have not necessarily changed, but the way they are experienced has softened a little. Stress is not just the storm. It is also the way we relate to the storm. Meditation seems to gently teach the mind to stand a little farther from the wind, to wrap a coat around its shoulders, to recognize that even the strongest weather passes. Tonight you are far from the storm. You are simply listening. You are simply lying here. You are simply allowing the day to release you. Let yourself sink, again, a little further into the calm. Pause with me here gently for another soft moment. Notice how your body feels right now compared to when we began. Maybe a little softer, maybe a little heavier, maybe quieter inside, maybe still busy but a little less so. Whatever you find is perfectly fine. There is no right way to feel tonight. There is no goal to reach. We are simply wandering through gentle ideas at the slow pace of a candle burning down to its last quiet centimeter. Take a long, slow breath in and let it out as if you were sighing into the comfort of an old chair. Notice the quiet around you, even if it is not perfect quiet. There may be the faint hum of an appliance, the soft creak of a settling building, the far-off whisper of the world continuing on without you. Let those small sounds be part of your night instead of intrusions on it. Your day is finished now. Whatever you did or didn't get to, whatever you said or didn't say, whatever you wished you had handled differently, all of it can be set aside. Lay it on a table just outside this room in your imagination and let the door close gently. There is no need to carry any of it into your sleep. You are doing beautifully. You are exactly where you need to be. The journey will continue when you are ready, but if your eyes are heavy now, you can let them stay closed. Let the words become like distant water. Let yourself drift. We continue our slow drift through the soft science of meditation, and here is the next gentle thought. There's a quality often described in meditation traditions called equanimity, a kind of calm balance that does not depend on the world being calm. Researchers studying long-term meditators often see signs of this in how they react, or rather, do not react, to small surprises, sudden sounds, unexpected images, mild discomfort. Their bodies still respond, of course, but the response tends to be smaller, gentler, and to fade more quickly. It is as though they have learned how to bend with the wind without falling. Equanimity is not coldness. It is not numbness. It is more like a tree with deep roots, swaying as it must but never uprooted. Tonight, you can imagine yourself with such roots, going deep into the soft, dark earth of rest. Drifting onward, you might find it lovely to know that even your sense of self can soften a little during meditation. Studies that look at the brain during deep meditative states sometimes see quieting in regions associated with the constant feeling of being a separate, bordered self. Some meditators describe a sense of becoming less locked inside their own outline, more part of the room, more part of the moment. This is not a loss. It is more like a temporary widening, the way a small lake might briefly feel itself part of a much larger body of water. You don't need to reach for any such experience tonight. You can simply notice that the boundaries of you are pleasantly fuzzy in the dark, that the line between your skin and the air is less sharp, that you are softer than you sometimes feel by daylight. Now consider this with sleepy curiosity. There is a tradition of walking meditation, where the practice is not to sit at all, but to walk very slowly, paying attention to each step, each shift of weight, each gentle press of foot against ground. This may sound surprising, but it is one of the oldest forms of meditation. Some researchers have noted that walking meditation can produce many of the same calming effects as sitting meditation, while also being kinder to bodies that struggle to sit still. You don't have to walk anywhere tonight, of course. But it is sweet to imagine. Somewhere in the world right now, someone is walking very slowly along a quiet path, breathing in time with their footsteps, letting the soft world unspool one moment at a time. They are practicing. So are you, in your own restful way. As we drift along, here is a tender thought about laughter and meditation. While meditation is often imagined as serious and silent, many traditions also include moments of soft laughter, gentle smiles, and warm humor. Some teachers encourage practitioners to sit with the suggestion of a small, almost invisible smile on their lips, often called an inner smile. Researchers have observed that even a slight, gentle smile can subtly shift mood, lower stress signals, and shape how the body experiences a moment. You are welcome tonight to let the corners of your mouth soften upward just a little. There is no one watching, no one to perform for, just a small, quiet smile that says, yes, this is enough, this is good, this is mine. Sliding into the next idea, here is something soft. Some studies suggest that meditation may be associated with subtle changes in the brain's response to others' emotions. Practitioners of compassion-based meditation in particular sometimes show patterns suggesting greater empathy paired with less personal distress. In other words, they feel for others but are not as easily overwhelmed by what they feel. This is a delicate, beautiful balance, caring without drowning, being moved without being swept away. Tonight, you can let yourself feel held by this idea. Somewhere in the world, people are training their hearts to be both stronger and softer at once. The world is, in this small way, a kinder place than it might seem from the daylight. And before we float onward, hold this gentle thought. Meditation has often been described as a way of coming home to yourself, not the version of you that posts, performs, or rushes through obligations. Not the version of you that meets deadlines or worries about being seen. The deeper, quieter you that has always been there, even before words. The you that watches your breath without needing to. The you that recognizes its own face in old photographs, even when everything else has changed. Tonight, you do not need to find this self with effort. It is already here. It has never gone anywhere. You are simply listening with it in the dark. Let's continue our soft wander, with the rhythm slowing even further. The next thought is about something called focused attention. In many meditation practices, you choose a small anchor, like the sensation of breath at the tip of the nose, or the feeling of your hands resting in your lap, or even a soft inner phrase. Then, when the mind drifts, you simply notice that it has drifted, and gently bring your attention back to the anchor. This sounds almost laughably simple, and yet the science suggests that this small motion, repeated countless times, may slowly reshape the brain's relationship with attention itself. Each return is like a small wave smoothing a rough stone. The wave is soft. The stone is hard. But the stone changes anyway slowly over time because the wave is patient. Tonight, you don't even need an anchor. The sound of this voice is anchor enough. Drifting onward, consider this softly. Meditation has been associated in many studies with reductions in symptoms of mild anxiety and low mood. The size of the effects varies, and meditation is not a substitute for proper care. But the pattern suggests that, for many people, regular gentle practice can be a kind of quiet support, like adding a small lamp to a dim room. The room is the same. The shadows are still there. But there is now a soft circle of light to read by, to rest within, to gather one's thoughts beside. Tonight, you are inside such a circle of light, made entirely of words and breath and stillness. Floating along, you might find it soothing to know that meditation has been studied in environments as different as space stations and prison cells. Astronauts have used mindfulness practices to help cope with the strange, weightless silence of orbit. Inmates in some programs have used meditation to find a sliver of inner freedom in spaces that allow very little outer freedom. Across these enormous extremes, the inner experience seems to share something familiar. A breath, a pause, a turning inward. The reach of meditation is in this way vast. It does not need much. It only needs a willing mind and a quiet moment. You have both right now. Drifting onward, here is another soft fact. Researchers have noted that meditation is sometimes associated with subtle changes in self-perception, including a gentler inner voice. Many people, when they first begin to pay attention to their thoughts, are startled by how harshly they speak to themselves inside. Meditation does not silence this inner voice. It simply gives the listener some distance from it, some perspective on it, and sometimes, slowly, a chance to soften its tone. It is as though the inner critic learns over time to be more like an inner friend. Tonight, even if your inner voice has been loud lately, you can let it rest with the rest of you. It too is allowed to sleep. As we glide into the next thought, picture this. Many meditation teachers describe awareness as the sky and thoughts and feelings as weather passing through. Storms come, storms go. Sunny days come, sunny days go. The sky itself is never harmed by any of it. Modern psychology has, in its own quiet way, embraced this metaphor. The science has not proven that we are skies, of course. But the practice of treating thoughts as weather instead of as commands or truths has been associated with greater emotional flexibility and resilience. Tonight, there are no storms in the sky of your awareness, just soft, drifting clouds, just the slow, slow breath of evening. And finally, before we drift toward the next set of facts, hold this loosely in your mind. Meditation can begin again anytime. There is no failure in it. Even if you sit for 1 second and then forget, that 1 second counted. Even if you start a daily practice and then stop for years, you can begin again with the next breath. Even if you have never meditated in your life, you are doing something quite close to it right now just by listening. There is no entry exam. There is no membership card. The door is always open and the room beyond it is quiet and warm and gently lit. Tonight, you are inside that room. You can stay as long as you like. You can leave whenever you wish. The room will not mind. We continue, slow and unhurried, with the softness of the night gathering more closely around us. Here is a gentle thought to begin. Meditation has been observed to influence not just how the mind feels, but also the way the body holds itself. Long-term meditators often, though not always, report a sense of being more aware of their posture, more able to notice tension before it becomes pain, more able to soften without thinking. The body, given attention, often becomes a better friend. It tells its stories more clearly. It releases what it is ready to release. You don't have to do anything tonight. But if you notice a little tension somewhere in your jaw, your shoulders, your hands, you can let it loosen, like a soft knot finally giving way under warm water. Drifting onward, consider this small wonder. There is a part of the body called the diaphragm, a wide, gentle dome of muscle just below the lungs. When you breathe slowly and deeply, this dome moves more fully, allowing the lungs to expand more completely and gently massaging the organs below. Many meditation traditions encourage what is sometimes called belly breathing, which simply means letting the belly rise and fall with the breath, instead of breathing only into the upper chest. Researchers have found that this kind of breathing is often associated with reduced stress signals in the body. You don't have to think about your diaphragm. It knows what it is doing. But you might notice, as you lie here, that your belly rises a little more and falls a little more with each unhurried breath. Now floating into another idea, you might find peace in this. Meditation has been linked in some studies to subtle improvements in the way people deal with chronic worry. The thoughts may still come, but the relationship to them shifts. Meditators often describe being able to recognize a worried thought as just a thought instead of treating it as a fact. This small shift, repeated often, can ease a great deal of inner weight. It is like learning to recognize that a shadow on the wall is just a shadow, not a creature in the corner. The shadow may still appear, but it no longer carries the same alarm. Tonight, any shadow of worry that drifts into your mind can be greeted as just that, a shadow, a passing shape, nothing to chase. As we drift on, here is a soft idea. Meditation traditions across the world have often emphasized gratitude as a kind of quiet meditation in itself. Some studies have observed that even brief gratitude practices, where people simply pause to notice things they are thankful for, can be associated with improved sleep, better mood, and a softer outlook over time. You do not need to make a list. You can simply rest in the soft awareness that your blanket is warm, that your bed is soft, that your body has carried you through this day, that there is a calm voice in the dark with you now. These are small things, but meditation has a way of reminding us that small things are not small at all. Floating onward, here is something tender. Meditation has been studied in caregivers, those who tend to others through long, demanding days. Researchers have observed that even short, regular practices may help reduce the sense of being depleted, sometimes called caregiver burnout. The world has a great deal of caring to do. Parents, nurses, teachers, those who quietly look after aging loved ones, those who tend pets in gardens and friends. Meditation does not lighten the work itself, but it may gently help refill the inner well. Tonight, if you are a person who carries care for others, you can imagine that well being slowly, softly refilled while you rest. There is no need to pour anything tonight. And finally, before we move into the next set of soft facts, here is one more thought to lay beside your pillow. Meditation has been described as a way of remembering that you are alive, remembering that this moment is here, remembering that you do not have to be anywhere else, do anything else, become anything else in this exact slice of time. Most of life involves looking forward or looking back, planning or replaying, hoping or regretting. Meditation gently returns the mind to right here, right now, the bed, the breath, the hush. There is a quiet wisdom in this. The present is the only place where life actually happens, and it is also the easiest place to forget. Let's slow down once more, even further than before. There is no destination tonight. We are simply wandering through quiet ideas like footsteps along the edge of a still lake. You don't need to keep up. You don't need to remember anything. You don't need to do anything but rest. Take a slow breath in if you wish. Notice the small, cool sensation of the air entering your nose. Now let the breath out, slow and easy, and notice how your body sinks just a little deeper into the bed. There may be a soft sound somewhere in the room or in the world outside. Let it become part of the texture of your night, like soft thread woven through a blanket. If your mind is still busy, that is perfectly okay. Busy minds are very common at the end of long days. You don't have to quiet your thoughts. You can simply let them move while you stay still. Imagine your thoughts as small leaves floating on a river. They drift past. They go where rivers go. You remain on the bank, warm, safe, and watching gently. You are doing wonderfully. You are not behind on anything tonight. You are not missing anything. You are not failing at sleep. You are simply being here, breathing, listening, softening like a gentle creature curling into the warmth of its own quiet burrow. When you are ready, we will continue. There is no rush at all. We pick up our slow journey again, drifting through more soft ideas about meditation. The next gentle thought is this. The brain's hippocampus, a small, curved region deeply involved in memory and learning, has sometimes been observed to be a little more robust in people who meditate regularly. The differences in studies are usually small and gentle, but they suggest something tender. The mind, when given quiet, may be a little better at holding on to its experiences, weaving them into memory with more care. This is not about becoming a memory champion. It is about being more present in each moment, which gives memory more to hold on to in the first place. Tonight, you are not trying to remember anything, but the soft texture of this evening, the warmth, the words, the breath, may quietly slip into your memory all on its own. Floating onward, you might find it sweet to know that meditation has often been compared to bathing the mind. In some ancient texts, the practice was described as washing away the dust of the day, leaving the inner glass clear enough to see through again. Modern researchers may not use the same poetic language, but they do find that meditation often seems to support what scientists call cognitive recovery. After a period of stillness, attention may feel sharper, mood may feel a little brighter, the mind may feel a little more its own again. You don't have to scrub anything tonight. You can simply imagine the dust of the day settling somewhere far away, while you remain here, soft and clean inside. Drifting onward, consider this. Meditation appears in some studies to be associated with subtle changes in pain-related brain regions, even in people who do not have chronic pain. It is as though regular practice gently rearranges how the brain treats incoming sensations, with less of an automatic alarm response and more of a thoughtful pause. This may help explain why some meditators describe ordinary discomforts as feeling more bearable, more workable, more like passing waves than crushing seas. Tonight, your body is not being asked to bear much at all. Just gravity, just gentle warmth, just the soft cradle of where you rest. Now let yourself sink even further as we drift into another thought. Meditation has been studied in connection with sleep quality, and many researchers have observed gentle improvements in people who practice regularly. The patterns vary, of course. Some people fall asleep more easily. Others sleep more deeply. Some find that they wake fewer times in the night or feel more rested in the morning. The mechanisms are likely many: reduced stress hormones, lower inner chatter, a more familiar relationship with stillness. Tonight, simply by resting, simply by listening, you are giving yourself a long, slow practice of stillness, exactly the kind that often coaxes sleep closer. As we glide into the next idea, here is something gentle. Meditation has appeared in many forms in literature, art, and music for centuries. Quiet figures gazing out windows, soft choruses of monks chanting in stone halls, painters describing the act of long, attentive looking as a kind of meditation. Even certain pieces of music, slow and unhurried, were intended as a kind of contemplative space for the listener. You are listening to something similar tonight. The slow rhythm of words, the soft pacing, the careful pauses. You are inside a kind of meditative artwork made of voice and silence. There is no need to interpret it. You can simply let it move around you, like the soft glow of distant lanterns on water. And before we drift on, one more thought to hold lightly. Meditation has often been connected to the idea of acceptance. Not the kind that gives up, but the kind that says, yes, this is what is here right now, before deciding what to do next. Studies suggest that a stance of acceptance toward inner experiences, rather than constant struggle against them, can be associated with less suffering, even when the experiences themselves do not change. Tonight, you can practice a small kind of acceptance. The room is what it is. Your body is what it is. Your day was what it was. You don't have to approve of all of it. You only have to let it be for these quiet hours while the world outside grows softer. We continue our slow descent into rest. Here is the next gentle fact. Many meditation traditions describe a quality often called beginner's mind, a way of meeting each moment as if for the first time without expectation. Modern psychology has found that something similar, a kind of curious openness, is associated with reduced stress and more pleasant experiences in everyday life. When the mind stops assuming it knows everything, the world becomes a little richer, a little fresher. The same morning light feels new. The same cup of tea has its own quiet flavor. You do not have to chase this freshness. It tends to appear when the mind has been allowed to rest, even briefly. Tonight, your mind is being allowed to rest. Tomorrow, the world may feel just a little newer for it. Drifting onward, you might find it lovely to know that meditation has been quietly woven into the routines of many busy lives, sometimes in surprisingly small ways. A few breaths between meetings, a short pause before answering an email, a moment of stillness while a kettle heats. Researchers have noted that these tiny moments, when added together, can shape the rhythm of a day. The mind learns over time that calm is something it can return to many times, not just in long sittings but also in small, hidden corners. Tonight, you are inside a long, soft corner of your own day. There is nothing waiting for you in this corner except quiet. Floating along, consider this. The ancient practice of mantra repetition, where a word or phrase is silently repeated to anchor the mind, has been studied in several traditions. Some research suggests that the slow, rhythmic repetition can help shift the brain into more relaxed patterns, similar to those seen in other forms of meditation. The specific mantra often matters less than the steady, unhurried rhythm. The brain seems to enjoy gentle repetition, the way the body enjoys rocking. You don't need a mantra tonight. The slow rhythm of breath, of voice, of words, is doing something similar for you. Each soft phrase is its own little wave. Each pause is its own quiet beach. As we drift on, here is something tender. Meditation has been linked in some studies with what researchers call enhanced emotional regulation. Practitioners often describe being able to feel a strong emotion arise, recognize it, and let it move through them without acting on it impulsively. This is not the same as suppression. It is more like watching a strong wave from a safe shore. You see its size, you feel its energy, but you are not pulled under by it. Tonight, you are far from any waves. The only thing moving through you is your slow breath, and even that is more like a tide than a wave. Drifting onward, here is a calming idea. Meditation has been found in some traditions and studies to be associated with what feels like a softer relationship with time. Practitioners often describe finishing a meditation and being surprised that more, or less, time has passed than they expected. Some studies have hinted that this is connected to changes in attention and the relationship between the mind and present moment awareness. Tonight, you might notice your sense of time becoming gently elastic. The minutes may stretch and fold. That is part of the soft fabric of bedtime. You don't have to keep track. The world will keep its own time for you. And finally, before we move into the next set of facts, hold this softly. Many meditators, after long practice, describe a quiet, steady sense of being okay. Not euphoric, not constantly happy, just a deep, often unspoken sense that, beneath everything, there is something calm and steady inside. Researchers can never measure such a thing perfectly, but the descriptions are consistent across many traditions and many lives. There is something inside you, beneath your thoughts, beneath your feelings, beneath even your tiredness, that has always been quiet. Meditation, in its many gentle forms, simply helps people meet that quiet more often. Tonight, you do not have to reach for it. It is already here, holding you while you listen. We continue softly. The next gentle idea is this. Meditation has long been associated with the cultivation of patience, a quality the modern world sometimes treats as old-fashioned. But patience, science suggests, is not just a virtue. It is also a kind of inner physiology. People who practice meditation regularly often show smaller, slower stress responses to delays, frustrations, and small inconveniences. Their bodies seem to have learned that not every wait is an emergency. Tonight, your body has nothing to wait for. There's no train to catch, no phone to check, no timer ticking down. Time is yours. You can let yourself be the most patient you have ever been with yourself. Floating onward, there is something delicate to notice. Meditation has often been tied in different traditions to a particular kind of sound or silence. Some practitioners use bells, soft chimes, the gentle striking of a small singing bowl. Others sit in pure silence. Researchers have studied the effects of slow, sustained tones on the brain and have noted gentle calming effects. particularly when the sounds are slow, soft, and unhurried. The voice you are listening to tonight is something like that. Not a chime, but a slow, steady sound, designed to wrap around you rather than wake you. You can let it become more like background rather than foreground attention. Drifting onward, you might find it sweet to know that meditation has been studied in connection with creativity. Some research suggests that certain forms of meditation, particularly more open, expansive ones, may be associated with a softer kind of thinking, where unusual connections can arise more easily. The mind, when not gripped by a single problem, is sometimes better able to wander into surprising solutions. You do not need to be creative tonight. You do not need to solve anything. But you can imagine that, somewhere quietly inside you, soft new ideas might be gently arranging themselves while you rest, the way pieces of a puzzle settle into place when the table stops shaking. As we drift along, here is a calming thought. Meditation has been associated, in many studies, with subtle improvements in emotional resilience after difficult events. People who practice may not avoid hard feelings, but they often seem to recover from them a little more smoothly, finding their way back to a calmer baseline a little sooner. The body and mind, given regular permission to rest, seem to remember how to return to rest more easily. Tonight, even if today held something hard, your nervous system is being allowed, gently, to remember its calmer self. You don't need to revisit the hard parts. Just letting yourself rest is its own kind of repair. Floating onward, consider this. Meditation has been described in many traditions as a kind of unlearning rather than learning. The mind is not being asked to acquire a new skill but to set down old habits of grasping and rushing. Modern research in its own way has echoed this. The benefits of meditation often seem to come from doing less, not more. Less reacting, less clinging, less judging. Tonight you are participating in a beautiful kind of unlearning. You are setting down the day, setting down the year, setting down the many small expectations you carry without noticing. You can leave them somewhere safe in the dark and pick up only what truly matters in the morning. And before we drift into the next set of facts, hold this loosely. Meditation has often been described as a practice of friendliness, first toward yourself, and then toward others. Studies on loving-kindness practice have found that even short sessions, repeated over weeks, may be associated with warmer feelings toward strangers and a softer relationship with the self. Tonight, you can offer yourself a little of this friendliness. You have made it through another day. You have done your best in your own way. You have come here to this quiet space to rest. That is enough. That has always been enough. Let yourself drift a little further into the soft hush. Let's slow down once more, even more softly than before. The night is deepening around you and so is your rest. There is nothing more to do, nothing more to think about, nothing more to plan. Tonight is for letting go. Take a slow breath in and notice how natural it has become to breathe softly here. Let the breath out as if it is carrying away one more small piece of the day, like a tiny boat slipping silently from a harbor. Notice the soft weight of your eyelids. Notice the gentle warmth of your hands. Notice the way your body has found its own quiet shape against the bed. Each part of you is doing exactly what it needs to do. You don't have to give it instructions. If your mind is still wandering, that is perfectly fine. Wandering is what minds do, especially when they are tired. You can let your thoughts drift wherever they like and simply keep listening with the part of you that is sleepier. The rest of you can follow when it's ready. There's no rush. There's no test. There's no goal. There is only this slow, quiet voice, the warmth of where you are, and the soft, steady company of your own breath. You are doing beautifully. You are exactly where you need to be. Let yourself sink a little more. We return to our slow wandering with the night soft around us. Here is the next gentle fact. Meditation has often been linked to the practice of journaling, both as a way to deepen self-awareness and as a way to process the day. Some studies suggest that combining brief reflective writing with short meditation sessions can be associated with improved mood and emotional clarity. You do not have to write tonight, but you can imagine, if you like, that the quiet of this evening is a kind of inner journal. Each soft moment, each calm breath, each gentle thought is being written into a hidden page somewhere in you, in handwriting you do not have to read. Drifting onward, consider this. Meditation has been observed to be associated with subtle changes in how people experience their own bodies. Long-term practitioners often describe a sense of feeling more at home in their bodies, more able to notice subtle sensations, more accepting of the body's quirks and shifts. The body, in many ways, is the original meditation tool. It is always with you. It always tells you something in its own quiet language. Tonight, your body is being given a long, soft message. The message is simply, you can rest now. You can let go now. There is nothing more required of you tonight. Floating along, here is a gentle thought. Meditation has been studied in connection with the experience of awe, that soft, quiet feeling of being part of something larger than yourself. Researchers have explored how moments of awe, often experienced in nature, in music, in great spaces, can be associated with reduced self-focus and increased feelings of connection. Some forms of meditation seem to gently nudge the mind toward a similar territory. You don't have to climb a mountain or stand under a starry sky for awe to find you. Sometimes, simply lying still in the dark, listening to a slow voice describe quiet wonders is enough. You are not as small as the day made you feel. You are part of an enormous breathing world. Drifting onward, consider this. Meditation has been associated in some research with subtle changes in how people make decisions, particularly under stress. Practitioners sometimes show a slightly more thoughtful, less impulsive approach to choices, even small ones. The pause that meditation builds in the mind is a kind of soft buffer between feeling and action. You don't need to decide anything tonight. The only choice required of you is whether to keep listening or to drift fully into sleep. Both are perfect. Both are correct. There is no wrong way to be here now. As we drift on, here is a soft idea. Meditation traditions often speak of a quality called surrender. Not the kind that loses, but the kind that lets go. Letting go of trying to control everything. Letting go of the need to be different than you are. Letting go of the day. Modern researchers, in their own way, study something similar when they look at concepts like acceptance, letting go, or self-compassion. The findings, again and again, gently suggest that softening one's grip can be associated with greater well-being. Tonight, you can practice surrender in its softest form. Let your hands grow loose. Let your jaw grow loose. Let your shoulders give up their long, tired holding. Let yourself sink, and before we drift on, hold this lightly. Meditation has often been described as the simplest practice that humans can do and also the hardest. Simple because it asks for so little. Hard because we are not used to doing so little, but tonight you are doing it perfectly. There is no posture to perfect, no technique to master. You are simply here. You are simply listening. You are simply being held by the quiet and the dark. That is enough. That has always been enough. Let your breath slow a little more. We continue. Here is the next gentle thought. Meditation has long been associated with the cultivation of inner stillness, but it is worth knowing that stillness in this sense does not mean a lack of motion. The breath still moves. The heart still beats. Thoughts still arise. The stillness is something deeper than these. It is the soft awareness that watches all of it without needing to interfere. Researchers studying the brain during meditation often see this in patterns of activity that suggest a kind of relaxed alertness, where the mind is awake but not grasping. Tonight, you can taste that kind of stillness. Things are happening within you and around you. You don't have to chase or stop any of them. You can simply be with them warmly. Drifting onward, consider this. Meditation has been linked to a particular form of attention called open monitoring, where the practitioner becomes aware of whatever arises, without focusing on any one thing. Studies suggest that this kind of meditation may be associated with a more flexible style of attention in everyday life, where people can notice many things at once without becoming overwhelmed. The mind, given practice, learns to widen and soften its gaze. Tonight, you don't need any particular focus. You can let your awareness be like an open window, letting words drift in and back out, letting feelings drift in and back out, without holding on to any of them. Floating along, you might find it sweet to know that meditation has been studied in connection with what researchers sometimes call subjective well-being, a soft, hard to measure but very real sense of satisfaction with one's life. Many studies have found gentle associations between regular practice and increased subjective well-being, even when external circumstances do not change much. It is as if a slow, daily turning inward gives the heart a small, daily reminder that it is, in many ways, already okay. Tonight, you can let yourself feel that, even softly. Beneath the worries, beneath the to-do lists, beneath the unfinished things, there is something inside you that knows how to be okay. As we drift on, here is something delicate. Meditation has often been associated with cultivating a sense of presence, the kind of attention that says, I am here in this moment with this experience. Studies on presence and mindfulness suggest that simply being more fully here more often can be associated with deeper relationships, more savored experiences, and a richer sense of being alive. You are practicing presence right now in your sleepy way. You are noticing the sound of words. You are noticing the feel of where you are. You are letting the moment be exactly what it is. That alone is a gentle gift to your future self. Drifting onward here is a peaceful thought. Meditation has been described in many traditions as the practice of returning to the breath, returning to the body, returning to the present, returning to kindness, returning to stillness. The mind will wander. The mind will plan, the mind will replay, and each time the practice is simply to return. Researchers note that the strength of meditation does not lie in never wandering. It lies in the gentle, repeated return. Tonight, even if your mind has wandered hundreds of times since we began, every soft return is a small, beautiful act of practice. And before we float onward, hold this lightly. Meditation in some traditions is described as a way of falling in love with the ordinary. The cup of tea, the warmth of the sun on a wall, the sound of your own breath, the slight tickle of the air on your cheek. These small, easily missed moments are the very texture of life. Meditation in its soft way makes them more visible. Tonight you have a soft, ordinary blanket, a soft, ordinary breath, a soft, ordinary mind. And in this hour, all of them are quietly becoming a little more sacred. Let yourself drift further into the soft. We drift onward into the deeper hush of the night. Here is the next gentle fact. Meditation has often been described in connection with the body's natural circadian rhythms, the slow daily cycles that govern wakefulness, sleep, hunger, and many subtle internal processes. Some research suggests that regular meditation, especially when practiced at consistent times, may be associated with gentler, more predictable rhythms. The body seems to appreciate a quiet pause that arrives at the same hour each day, the way a garden seems to appreciate water at the same time each evening. Tonight, you have given yourself such a pause. Whether it is a habit or a one-time visit, it counts. Drifting onward, consider this. Meditation has been linked to subtle improvements in attentional blink, a curious term researchers use for the small gap in attention that often occurs when the mind processes one thing right after another. Practitioners sometimes show a slightly smaller gap, suggesting their attention recovers more quickly. You do not need to know any of this in detail. The soft picture is enough. The mind, given gentle practice, becomes a little more elastic, a little more able to bounce back, a little more able to be here even when many things are passing by. Tonight, very few things are passing by, just words, just breath, just hush. Floating along, here is a soothing thought. Meditation has often been described in art and poetry as a kind of inner garden. Different traditions tend it differently. Some plant rows of careful focus, like neat herb beds. Others let the wild grow, like meadow flowers. Some prune gently, as in compassion practice. Others simply observe, allowing each plant to be exactly as it is. Researchers, in their own gentle way, have noted that different meditation styles may have different effects on the mind, but all seem to nurture something. Tonight, you are inside your own quiet inner garden. You don't have to tend anything. You can simply rest beneath the leaves. As we drift on, here is something tender. Meditation in some traditions is associated with the soft acceptance of impermanence, the truth that everything changes. Modern psychology has, in its own way, studied how acceptance of impermanence can be associated with reduced suffering. Things do change, days end, seasons turn, moods rise and fall, bodies grow older, loves come and go and come again in different forms. Meditation gently befriends this change instead of fighting it. Tonight, even this evening will pass. Even this moment will pass. But for now, it is here, soft and warm around you, and you are inside it. Drifting onward, consider this. Meditation has been studied in connection with awe, gratitude, and meaning, three soft, hard-to-measure qualities that researchers nevertheless return to again and again. The findings often suggest that regular contemplative practice can be associated with deeper feelings of meaning, more frequent experiences of awe, and gentler waves of gratitude through ordinary life. None of this is about achieving anything dramatic. It is more like slowly turning on a soft light inside a familiar room so that what was always there becomes a little easier to see. And before we drift on, hold this lightly. Meditation does not promise anything. It does not promise eternal peace or perfect happiness or a life without difficulties. What it offers, the science suggests, is something gentler, a different relationship with the same life, a softer way of meeting whatever comes. A small, steady practice of returning to yourself. That is in many ways the truest gift one can give a person. Tonight, you have given that gift to yourself just by being here. That is enough. That has always been enough. Let yourself sink again into the soft, dark hush of evening. Let's pause once more very softly before we wander into our last gentle stretch of facts. The night is deeper now. Your body is heavier now. Your breath is slower now. Whether you noticed or not, you have been gently meditating along with these words for a long, soft while. Take one slow breath in and let it go like a sigh of release. There is nothing more to gather. There is nothing more to plan. There is nothing more to remember. The day is closed like a book on a quiet shelf. Notice the warmth wherever your body meets the bed. Notice the soft hush in the room. Notice the small, kind weight of being held by all the things that are holding you. The mattress, the blankets, the walls. The night. If you have been listening with effort, you can let that effort fall away now. Listening is no longer required. You can let my voice become more like distant rain, more like a slow breeze, more like the soft hum of a familiar song you don't quite need to follow. You are doing beautifully. You are exactly where you need to be. There's nothing to do now except be here. Let yourself drift a little more into the soft, dreamy edge of sleep. We continue, with the quiet now wrapped almost completely around us. Here is the next gentle thought. Meditation has often been described as a practice of remembering that you are not your thoughts. Researchers studying meditators have noticed that, over time, practitioners often develop a clearer ability to observe their thoughts without becoming entangled in them. They know that a thought is not always a fact. A worry is not always a prophecy. A self-criticism is not always a truth. This soft, repeated noticing is associated with reduced rumination and gentler mood patterns. Tonight, even if a thought drifts by that says I should be doing something else, you can simply notice it as a thought, and let it pass like a small bird crossing the dim sky. Drifting onward, consider this. Meditation has long been linked to traditions of stillness in nature. Many practitioners speak of sitting beneath a tree, beside a stream, on the slope of a quiet hill. Researchers have found that even time spent in nature without formal meditation can be associated with reduced stress hormones, lower blood pressure, and softer mood. When meditation and nature meet, the effects often seem to deepen. Tonight, even if your room is far from a forest, you can imagine a soft tree somewhere just outside the window holding its quiet vigil. Its leaves move softly. Its roots go deep. It is keeping you company through the night. Floating along, here is a tender fact. Meditation has been associated in many studies with what researchers call greater self-compassion. People who practice regularly often score higher on measures of being kind to themselves, especially when things go wrong. The inner voice that once said, "How could you? How could you?" slowly begins to say, "It's okay, it happens, you are still here." This shift, science suggests, may have wide-ranging effects on mood, relationships, and even physical health. Tonight, your inner voice can rest with the rest of you. There is nothing it needs to scold. You have done enough today. As we drift on, here is a gentle thought. Meditation has been studied in connection with hope and optimism, two qualities that often sound abstract but turn out to be quite practical. Some research suggests that regular practice can be associated with a softer sense of hope, not the kind that ignores reality, but the kind that recognizes that the future is wide and that change is possible. Tonight, you can let yourself rest in a small, soft hope. Maybe tomorrow will be a little easier. Maybe sleep will be deep. Maybe small kindnesses will find you. Maybe you will surprise yourself with how gently you can move through the next day. Drifting onward, here is something soothing. Meditation has been described as a quiet way of saying yes to your own existence. Not a loud yes, not a forced yes, just a small, steady yes to being alive, to being here, to being you. Researchers cannot measure such a thing precisely, but they can observe its echoes in mood, in resilience, in relationships, in subjective well-being. Tonight, you are saying that quiet yes simply by lying here and breathing. You are not arguing with your existence. You are not fighting for your right to rest. You are just here, gently saying yes in the softest way possible. And finally, before we drift toward the last few facts, hold this softly. Meditation has often been described as a long, slow letter the mind writes to itself, in countless small breaths and moments of returning. Each session is a single soft sentence. Each return from distraction is a small, careful word. Over time, the letter becomes long and tender and full of warmth. Tonight, your sleepy listening is part of that letter. You are writing yourself a note that says, "I gave you rest. I gave you stillness. I gave you a soft hour of being held. May you sleep well tonight." We drift toward the last gentle stretch of our journey, and there is no need to hurry through it. Here is the next soft fact. Meditation has been observed in some studies to be associated with a slightly slower resting heart rate, particularly in long-term practitioners. The heart, given many quiet hours over time, seems to settle into a more relaxed pace. This is not a dramatic change. It is more like a soft adjustment, the way a candle flame might burn just a little steadier when the room is calmer. Tonight, your heart is keeping you as it always has. Let yourself feel grateful, in a soft, sleepy way, for that quiet, faithful drumming inside your chest. Drifting onward, consider this. Meditation has been linked in some research to the practice of savoring, a soft term for taking the time to fully feel and appreciate small, pleasant moments. The mind, when not rushing forward, becomes more able to notice the warmth of a moment, the sweetness of a small joy, the gentle satisfaction of a quiet evening. Studies suggest that savoring is associated with greater happiness over time. Tonight, you are quietly savoring. Even if it doesn't feel dramatic, you are taking time to be in this slow, soft moment. That counts. That gathers somewhere into something that matters. Floating along, here is a tender thought. Meditation has often been described as a path, but also as a place. A path because there is always something more to learn, a deeper stillness to discover, a softer kindness to grow. A place because, even from the very first moment you arrive somewhere, the first time you ever sat and simply breathed, you arrived. Researchers, in their own way, find both the path and the place in their findings. There are long-term changes that gather slowly, and there are immediate, single-session shifts in stress, mood, and physiology. Tonight you are both walking and arriving at once. There is no contradiction in that. The path and the place are the same. As we drift on, here is one more gentle fact. Meditation has been associated in many traditions and studies with a soft expansion of compassion, both for oneself and for others. Practitioners often describe feeling a little more connected to the rest of life, a little more aware that other people like themselves are tired, hopeful, struggling, joyful. A little more aware that other living beings are sharing this enormous, mysterious world with them. This sense of connection, science suggests, is associated with greater well-being and a softer view of life's challenges. Tonight, you are part of an enormous community of resting beings. Somewhere others are also lying down, also breathing slowly, also drifting toward sleep. You are not alone in your softness. Drifting onward, consider this. Meditation has often been described in many traditions as the simplest gift one can give oneself. No special equipment, no subscription, no costume, just a willingness to be still for a while. Researchers have, in their own way, gently echoed this. The benefits of meditation in study after study do not seem to require expensive tools or perfect conditions. They seem to require only quiet attention and time. Tonight you have given yourself this gift. The room, the bed, the breath, the hush. You are not behind anyone. You are not less than anyone. You are simply softly here doing the oldest and simplest thing a human can do. And before we move into the outro, hold this last soft thought. Meditation has, in countless ways, become a quiet companion to a noisy world. It does not promise to make the world less noisy. It only promises to give you a small, soft place to stand inside it. A place where the breath is your own. A place where the moment is yours. A place where, even briefly, you remember that you are alive and that this aliveness is enough. Tonight, you are inside that place. You can stay as long as you wish. The path will be there in the morning. The place will be here whenever you return. You are always welcome. And so slowly, gently, we come toward the soft edge of our long journey together. There is no need to leave it sharply. Like a small boat drifting back to a quiet shore, you can let our wandering simply slow and slow and slow until it rests entirely in the warm hush of your night. We have moved through so many soft ideas tonight. The ancient roots of meditation. The way the breath whispers safety to the body. The slow, patient changes that may unfold in the brain. The gentle relationship between stillness and the heart. The quiet kindness that meditation can grow inside a life. None of it is meant to be remembered. All of it is meant to be felt, like the soft afterglow of a candle that has been burning at the bedside for hours. You have done such a good job tonight. You have arrived. You have settled. You have softened. You have allowed yourself to be still, even just by listening, even just by lying here. In a world that often praises hurry, you chose for a little while to slow down. That is, in its own gentle way, a kind of quiet courage. The night has noticed. The bed has noticed. Your body has noticed, deep in places that don't have words. Some part of you that is older and wiser than your daytime self is silently saying, "Thank you for letting me rest." If you have followed only some of the words, that is wonderful. If you have followed almost none of them, that is even better. The whole purpose of tonight was not to teach you, but to keep you company while you slipped slowly into rest. The facts were just lanterns along the path. The path was just a way of getting you here, into this hushed, low-lit corner of your evening where sleep can find you easily. Remember, if you can carry one soft thought into your dreams tonight, let it be this. There is something inside you that knows how to be still, even when your life is loud. There is something inside you that knows how to come home to itself, even when the world keeps trying to pull you outward. Meditation, in all its many forms, simply helps you visit that quiet part of yourself a little more often. You don't have to become a monk. You don't have to wear special clothes. You don't have to sit in any particular way. You only have to remember that this quiet is yours. It has always been yours. And you can return to it whenever you wish, with nothing more than a slow breath and a soft moment of attention. Tomorrow, when the world begins again, you may notice some small echo of tonight. Maybe an unexpected pause before answering a question. Maybe a moment in a kitchen when the steam from a cup catches your eye and you simply watch it. Maybe a sigh, softer than usual, while you wait at a traffic light. These small moments are little visitors from the still place inside you. They are saying hello. They are reminding you that the night you spent in this gentle space is still with you. You don't have to do anything with them. You can simply welcome them like old friends. Thank you truly for spending this long, soft hour with me. It is a kind of trust to let a voice walk you toward sleep. I do not take that lightly. I hope these gentle facts and quiet pauses have been a soft companion. I hope your shoulders feel easier than they did when we began. I hope your breath feels a little kinder. I hope your mind feels a little less crowded, even if there are still a few thoughts wandering in it. There is nothing to be done about the wandering ones. Let them wander. They will find their way home. If you would like to return to the sleepy science place on another long night, you are always welcome. There will be more journeys like this one, more soft topics, more long, dreamy explorations. If it feels right, somewhere down the road you can gently subscribe or quietly leave a like, or simply remember that this small corner of the dark exists, ready for you. There is no pressure. The door is always open. The lamp is always low. For now, let your eyes stay closed if they are. Let your body remain exactly as it is. Let your breath continue without your help the way it always has. Let the room around you hold you. Let the bed beneath you hold you. Let the night, vast and old and patient, hold you. You are safe here. You are warm here. You are allowed to rest here completely. Imagine for a final soft moment a small candle somewhere far away, burning slowly in a quiet room. It is your candle. It does not need to be tended. It does not need to be watched. It will burn at its own pace, all on its own, all night long. While it burns, you can sleep. While it burns, you can dream. While it burns, the world will keep its quiet vigil for you, and you will not miss anything that truly matters. You have been such a kind companion tonight. Sleep well, sleep deeply, sleep without effort. Let any last thought drift away like a small leaf on a slow river. Let any last feeling settle like soft snow on a forest floor. Let any last bit of holding finally let go. Good night, gentle listener. May your dreams be soft and unhurried. May your morning be gentle. May this quiet hour leave a small warmth somewhere inside you, ready to be found again the next time you need it. There's nothing to do now except be here. There's nothing to do now except rest. Let yourself drift all the way into the soft, dark, beautiful hush of sleep.